Hello there.
Hi,
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good, good. My name's Ben. I'm the managing editor here. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to
Been,
meet you. Hi, everybody. I see you guys coming up here, trickling in.
yes, thank you everyone for tuning in today. And Jennifer, I'm such a longtime admirer of your work, so this is a personal treat. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a bit about this latest album. I feel like some people may not know your longtime love of Broadway. So how did this opportunity first come about, and what made you want to kind of sink your teeth into it?
Sure. Well, I definitely do, as you mentioned, have a long time love of Broadway, and I grew up doing theater. Like
Mhm.
most of us in who have ended up in any form of the performing arts, we grew up doing musical theater, right?
Right.
So I grew up doing that and loving it, and I did it all throughout school and high school and college. And I even got to a point in college where I had to decide, like, do I want to pursue theater outright, or do I want to pursue music proper? And at the time I went to college in Atlanta, and at the time I had had some traction there already in
Mhm.
clubs playing some of my original material. And I thought, you know what, I've got some momentum over here. I'm gonna focus on music. And I'm so glad that I did, of course. And at the same time, always yearned for being able to come back to that love of theater,
Mm.
and to fill that longing of being able to be a part of that community again. And was lucky enough, with the success that I had as a musician, to be able to then re-enter the theater community with my Broadway debut in 2015 with
Mhm. Mhm.
Chicago, which is just like, the head of a pin, Ben. I mean,
Yeah.
like, who gets to do Broadway for any production? So um, since that time, have really been expanding into the theater community, and really wanted to celebrate this music. And so I've always, for this album specifically, I've always had in my head for certain of my classics that I like of musical theater, like ways that I would sing it. Okay.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
just banging around in there. And I shared that with Adam Zodovich, who's the executive producer on the record. And he said, look, you need to do this as a project, and you need to do it now, and you need to do it with Alex Lacamoire. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay.
The
Now,
Alex Lacamoire, for those who are unfamiliar, Hamilton, to name one.
yes, to
Yeah.
name one. I mean, of a he, so for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure all of you do if you're on this, but the music director and orchestrator and arranger for Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, the movie The Greatest Showman, the movie In the Heights, now, like, just
Mhm.
among a celebrated few, right? So all that is to say, Adam introduced me and Alex, and I shared with him the idea, and we tossed around I shared with him sort of some voice notes, from my phone of like, well, this is what I'm feeling. And there were really a trinity. The trinity of the foundation of this record, I would say, is Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat, and Wouldn't It Be Loverly?
Mhm. Mhm.
And those were three that I had always had, ruminating. So I shared with him those ideas, and he loved them, and he was on board, and we took it from there. But that's the short story long of sort of like how this album came to be.
I love it. I love it. And for the trilogy that you just mentioned, obviously those are classic of the genre. Had you had the opportunity growing up to sing them on stage, or was this your first time kind of public facing?
No, it was my first time public facing for these. I mean, again, like, never had in the productions that I did growing up, to include, Oliver and Grease and
Mhm.
Barnum, and which Barnum appears with There's a Sucker Born Every Minute on this
Yes. Yeah.
record. Though I didn't sing that one in the show. I wasn't Barnum. I did the colors of my life. Okay.
Fair
But
enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, all that is to say, I never got to be in these specific productions, but always, loved and wanted to. So it's really a bit of an indulgence for me to get to sing all this music.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this I imagine feels like a dream realized. You cut back to 2015. You were on Broadway in Chicago, as you say, kind of the pin of the needle. Another dream realized. I'm curious. You obviously have such a track record in the country music space. Does this genre of music sit differently in your voice? Is it a unique challenge compared to some of your original music? And what does that entail for you as a singer?
It's very different, and that's one of the reasons that I love it. Look,
Mhm.
you know, the thing about modern popular music, anything that falls under that umbrella, which includes pop music, you know, R&B, now definitely country falls under what we call modern popular music.
Mhm.
That has a structure to it, Ben, and it's really limited. That structure is usually like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Or if you are, you know, rapping, you would say, you know, here's the middle eight. Let's do these 8 bars. You know, you
Mhm.
got 8 bars.
Mhm.
So all that is to say, musical theater has no such rules, and it's just like, in terms of vocal melodies, they can be extremely expansive. One specific example, I have no need, nor have I ever, except just in fun or possibly background stuff, but there is no need in anything that I've done as a singer songwriter to sing the E above C above middle C. It's just
Sure.
like in modern popular music, it's just like there's really no reason for us to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in musical theater, it's like, yes, girl, you are singing that, you know, and you will hear it in Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, and you will hear it, you know, in a couple of places, that part of my range. So as a singer, it's so gratifying and so much fun to get to be able to sing this music, because it expands, it rambles, it twirls, it comes back around. It's not in this little structured box that
Yeah.
modern popular music can be.
Yeah, what an exciting opportunity for you, obviously, being such a lifelong singer, to have this opportunity to hit those higher notes, to
Oh my
get
God.
into your register in that way. Yeah.
Yes, such a thrill.
We obviously have some actors and singers in our audience today. If you could indulge me for a minute, just considering the fact that you are such an accomplished singer, what's your number one tip of vocal health advice? How do you kind of make sure everything is taken care of, and that you're when you're touring, when you were in Chicago, how do you kind of take care of your instrument?
Yes, I can name you a number of things. Sleep is imperative, because your instrument is a part of your body and you carry it with you everywhere you go. Consequently, you know, there are pros and cons. It makes it really mobile, but it also means that anything you do to your body, put in your body, or expose your body to, can affect your instrument. Most specifically for me, and dear God help us all during this pandemic, alcohol. I can't do it, at least as a singer. I appreciate that Janis Joplin was able to really incorporate that into her sound. But for me, you know, it causes reflux. It causes a ton of issues that I have had to, like, unfortunately, you know, you have to, it's an easy trade-off, but over the pandemic has been a hard trade-off.
I imagine, yeah.
But all that is to say, yeah, sleep, no alcohol, warm up, cool down. I mean, you know, those are really, I think they're things that are known, but I would just reinforce it in terms of, for me, hydrated, fully hydrated offerings only, you know, also as well, all the things that we know, but sleep and the booze are the two big kickers for me, just because, especially in this pandemic, sleep was like, what's sleep? I mean, I know anxiety. I don't know sleep.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
A restful
which
night's
is the
sleep,
reason
never
for,
heard
like,
of her.
see the booze also.
Exactly.
Anxiety. So it's just like, oh God.
And it was teased a bit for me that there's the chance, obviously we're coming out of a pandemic, but there's a chance you might be hitting the road later this year, or it might be in the future. Would you be touring with Sugarland, or touring this solo album, a bit of both? Can you preview that for us?
Yeah, right now my hope in the second half of this year is to be able to tour this record.
That's great. Yeah.
What that will be, I don't know. You know, we're having those conversations right now, because this is a very richly orchestrated record. So to be able to have strings and a choir, and how much of those can we have, you know, and be able to just from a logistics standpoint, depending on where the tour is it, you know, it doesn't make sense to carry all those people with me on the road. So can we do local hires? I mean, there's a ton of logistics in it, just because this record is so richly orchestrated, and I want to be able to do it justice and pay it honor.
Yeah.
But yes,
I mean,
so all that is to say, conversations are happening. Yes.
Conversations are happening, and it'll be worth the wait when the time comes. Absolutely. Yes. Well, in our last few minutes here, I do want to touch on some of your other projects, because one of my favorite things about just being witness to your career over the last few years, especially, is the ways that you found to express yourself as an artist that aren't the ways that you're best known for. So you've done things like Chicago, you've done television and film projects. Has that been a matter, especially when it comes to the acting, Has that been a matter of you advocating for that, or those opportunities that presented themselves? What does that journey kind of look like in terms of you mapping it out for yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely, and I love the way you posed that question, Ben. It's definitely a both and, but mostly it's through intention and crafting it this way, in the sense that, you know, you are right to describe it as the ways that people most know me or first knew me. And the reality is that the trajectory of an artist starts from, you know, whenever, really from whenever we're born, but for whenever we answer the calling for that art, right?
Yeah.
And moves through. So before Sugarland came on as even a writing project, I had been an independent musician for 10 years, making my living that way, not in country music. But people know me first or most, you know, when I came on to quote unquote the mainstream public conscience,
Sure.
as a country singer. And then what happens is what I call the shining silo of success. And it is glittering and it is glorious and it is still a silo. It's like the gilded cage, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, she's still singing, but you know, it is and it's a golden cage, but it's still a cage.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a great cage if you want to be in a cage. But at the end of the day, an artist is so, I see somebody saying, exactly, soul miner's daughter. I'm reading all these things like in my distracted way. Yes. So that was like, you know, back in my 20s.
Yeah.
So all that is to say, you know, with that, I have always, as being the artist that I am, always been expanding regardless of what it is. And Sugarland in and of itself was an expansion for me as an artist. It just happened to be that that's where I came onto the public consciousness and thankfully had the success that I did. But I'm always wanting to express myself. I love the performing arts across the board. If I could dance, I would be doing that too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can dance, okay? But I mean, if I were a professional dancer, I would, you know, I would love to express myself that way. At the end of the day, to me, it's about storytelling. And if I'm writing a song, I will be creating a character. If I am standing on stage interpreting a song, that is a character. If I am in front of the camera, that is a character. So all of this is crafting stories and crafting character for me. And I love it.
Yeah. Well, kind of bouncing off of that then, and as a final question for you, again, Backstage, our audience is kind of the working actors, the creators of the world. Yes. What advice do you have for people who want to have a similarly multifaceted existence professionally as an artist? In what ways have you advocated for yourself? Was that a challenge? What advice have you learned over the course of doing that for yourself that you could share with us today?
Yes, I know you see my face like, ooh,
yeah.
This is a juicy
you know
question, Ben. It's a juicy question. Because what happens is with that glittering silo of success, especially for the people on the commerce side, they want to keep you right there. They're like, look, this is working. This is making money. We want you to stay right here. What also happens to us as a lot of times as fans, you imprint on something at a certain point in your life. Right. And so that is what you love and what you love from an artist. But at the end of the day, if you're really a fan of the artist, you will allow her to continue to expand and celebrate that expression and expansion with her. All that is to say, if you want to be multi-hyphenate, multifaceted, multi-expressive, fill in the blank, be prepared to fight for your art and your heart. You know, like put the art in heart and fight for both, because people will want to keep you in one place. They will want you to stay in your lane. And some of them will do it manipulatively from a business standpoint. Some of them will do it unwittingly just from a heart standpoint because they love you in a certain way and want to see you that way most. Fight for your art and help those people along then, you know, that may only see you in a certain way. Put out good stuff, work, you know, hard to be able to put out your best regardless of what the project is, but believe in yourself and you will have to fight to be expansive, because people, I this came to my head the other day and it's so true of humans, but some people will do so much. They will do anything possible to do as little as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they will do everything in the world to avoid change, to stay small. They want to stay small. And sometimes they want you to stay small. don't stay small.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we're dying, we will not look back and say, oh, I wish I had stayed a little smaller. No, we won't. Everyone will say, I wish I had expanded bigger. I wish I had opened myself up bigger. All of us will say it. So fight as hard as you can in the moment for it.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, I think that's the perfect words of wisdom to wrap this up on.
I want to say hi to everybody, though. Look at you guys.
Yes.
Hi,
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. I hate saying your lane. Me too. Like, I preach. Yes, thank you. I mean, I love reading all the things as we go.
I know. I love this platform because it's allowed for kind of that direct interaction, right? And it's only been something that we've been doing over the last year, but we'll be keeping it up. Absolutely.
You know what? The pandemic has inspired so many things. Hopefully there are a few good ones.
Yeah, this is one of them. Getting the chance to talk with you is one of them, certainly. But you have a great rest of your day. Congratulations on the new album, and I can't wait to see
it comes out Friday for everybody's on here. It comes out Friday, the 25th. Okay, always like new.
Always like new. Can't wait. All right, well, thank you for sharing your time with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.